Hey, what's up guys? It's Matt, and today I just wanted to shoot a video. So we are coming up to the end of the semester, which for me means the end of my first year in RT school. So I will do like a big first year recap video after this semester ends, because we have a week off before we start our summer rotations. That's when I'll kind of maybe just go back and review all that. So today is just kind of an update of where I am right now at this point in the semester. So like I said, we have right about a week and a half left. My last official clinical day was yesterday. It was a pretty standard day. It was a little slow, a few breathing treatments. We put together a few pieces of equipment, which is always fun. If you haven't gotten the chance to, or your instructors haven't gotten to that yet, not everything in the hospital equipment wise is comes, like if you set up a BiPAP and you grab a BiPAP like pack that has the masks and the circuits, that's usually pretty well ready to go. But as things get more complicated, sometimes you find yourself, as the therapist I was with yesterday put it, playing Legos a little bit with various little adapters and things and finding the right sizes to make something work. So that's always pretty fun. So it was an all right last day. I unfortunately did not get any ABGs this clinical rotation. That's no one's fault in particular. My clinical rotation was from noon to 4. That's kind of a weird time when a therapist's full shift is like 6:30 to 6:30 or 7 to 7. We come in at a weird time. ABGs seem to have been drawn more earlier in shifts. So unless an ABG was ordered for something, like if a patient showed signs of going maybe critical or something, that they wanted to pull one. Because a lot of people say, what about the 30-minute post-intubation ABGs? Well, those patients usually were so poor off that they were usually getting some sort of a line or something in, so there was no need to draw or try to draw an ABG. I remember one lady was so hypotensive, like she only had a femoral pulse, so we thought, oh, that'd be cool, someone gets to get a femoral ABG stick. And they're like, now we're just doing a line. Like, oh, okay, so but that's okay, because the summer we do 5 weeks of 312s. I imagine there'll be plenty of opportunities to do lots of ABGs this summer, so I'm not too worried about it. But basically, so grade-wise, I know this is kind of the point of the semester where everybody's kind of grinding down, trying to figure out, are they gonna pass? Hopefully not that bad. In my case, it's coming down to, so I at the moment have all A's in my 4 classes. So just a quick recap, I have Pharmacology, Basic Assessment and Monitoring, Introduction to Mechanical Ventilation, and we have Pulmonary and Cardio Diseases and Disorders. So just in order of the classes I have, in Pharmacology, I actually have an A. Definitely one of the toughest classes I've had this semester. I really thought it was going to be Pharm and Mechanical Ventilation that were going to be the real tough ones. It's kind of turned out Basic Assessment, not a super easy class, not a gimme. Disease classes, not been terrible. It's a lot of recall stuff, but Basic Assessment was pretty tough. So, but Pharm, I have an A, a reasonably strong A. Not super duper great, not like I don't have to worry about anything, but I've done some calculations here, and in Pharmacology, so I basically only have 2 assignments left. I have a quiz and we have our exam. Generally speaking, our quizzes, we get 2 chances if you get less than a 7 or an 8 out of 10, I'm sorry. So if you take the quiz once and you get a 7 or less on that quiz, you can take it one more time. There's a test bank. You very rarely see the same questions again. So it's not like you can game the system and just like collect the questions and try it again for a better grade. I've been doing okay. I've been getting 9s and 10s on all those quizzes. So basically my point value wise, for Pharm, if I want to keep my A, I did the calculations for the worst I could do on the last 2 assignments and still have an A. Not that I'm striving to do the worst I need to, but it just sets kind of a standard for me. So if I get a perfect score on my quiz, I only have to get a 44 out of 50 on the final exam. My test average in that class has been probably like a 46 or 47. So I feel pretty confident about getting an A in Pharm, because even if I get an 8 out of 10, I only have to get a 46. That's still getting a B on the final exam. So that'll guarantee me an A. So as long as I do well on the quiz and basically do my standard study tactics, I feel like I'm gonna pull the A in Pharm. So that's kind of my biggest accomplishment, I feel, for myself personally this semester. My second class is basic assessment. And so like I said, that was kind of the wild card. It was a little harder than I thought it was going to be. You know, there's a lot to do when you're assessing patients, you know, beyond like, yeah, that first module we were doing things like how you should properly introduce yourself, you know, not barging into patients' rooms and not talking to the patient or telling them who you are or talking to the family or anything like that. Kind of the common sense stuff. But when you really get into some of the finer points of monitoring, so we did do some talking about critical patients, ICU or ED monitoring, or it's where we did our big ABG section. So that class is a little tougher. I've not been doing as well on the quizzes, and by that I just mean I'm not getting 9s or 10s. I've been getting kind of consistently 8s. So for me, that sets a precedence of if I get an 8 on that last quiz, I have to get a 48 out of 50 on my final exam to keep my A. So 40 out of 50, that's pretty tough. That's only missing 2 questions on our exams. So I definitely want to dedicate some extra study time to this class for sure. If I manage to get a 10 out of 10 on the last quiz, I only need a 46. Again, my lowest test grade this semester was a 44, and it came on a basic assessment exam. So it's definitely the one I don't want to slack on. That exam is very likely coming up Tuesday, we suspect. So we have our final disease exam this coming Monday. I know my mechanical ventilation final exam is on the 16th, but we're still going through Pharm and basic assessment lectures right now. So we may finish the lecture on Monday and have the exam Tuesday. So I'll probably do a little studying this weekend to try to be kind of ahead of the curve, I guess, a little bit, for prepared. That way, when you only get that one day to study the new material that you finish, you don't find yourself having to like cram as much in one night. Mechanical ventilation. So this was the one that I thought was going to be kind of a harder class, and not that it wasn't challenging. But I think conceptually, it just clicked with me a little better. There was one exam where I had a little slip up on. I think I got like a 45 on or something, and it was an exam I think that everyone else did really well on. But generally speaking, I've consistently averaged like 48 to 50 on the exams. Mechanical ventilation doesn't have quizzes, but we do have workbook assignments. They're pretty much graded for completion, so as long as you do them, you get the points, and you weren't just like filling in nonsense in the blanks. Assuming that I do the workbook, which I did about half of the 9th chapter last night. I think it was like 129 questions in the 9th chapter. So I got to like question number 65 and then called it quits because it was about 10 o'clock. So assuming I finish that turn and get my 20 points for that, this is actually my best class, because basically I can get the lowest passing score possible for us, which is a 38 out of 50, a 76%, and still have an A in this class. So obviously I don't want to just blow off this last section and study and not study. That's pretty huge for me. Like a guaranteed A, basically, as long as I don't fail. That's pretty awesome. So I was really surprised how well I understood the class. Now, our other instructor teaches the what they call advanced mechanical ventilation. He reviews some of the same stuff we did, even some of the same chapters, but he does it in significantly more detail. So like I said, this is introduction. This is just learning. This is what this mode of ventilation does, but not so much applied to the really in-depth pathophysiology of the patient who may need that particular mode of ventilation. So we will get way more in depth next semester with some of this stuff. So I'm glad I did well. I hope that means I have a pretty foundational understanding of mechanical ventilation. So as we delve in deeper, hopefully it'll come just as easy. So, and then my last class is disease, and I did really well in this class pretty much all semester too. We don't have quizzes in this class. We pretty much just have exams. Just the nature of the information. Disease is just a lot of recall. So if you know, there's like recalls and applications and all the different types of questions. A recall is kind of the easiest one. That's where you study the material, kind of like memorizing it. Pretty much the question just asks you to regurgitate information. Not to say there can't be application questions applied. It's just, for the most part, it's pretty straightforward, black and white type material. So in this class, I need, and this one's weird. So we're not, I've been through the instructor syllabus before, and even on D2L where our grades are posted, I've seen some weird inconsistencies, as far as rounding goes. It's like, I don't know if certain grades get rounded. Typically basic math says if you're rounding, you do your 0.5 and up, right? You round to the nearest whole up. Or if it's 0.4 and lower, you round down. If you're rounding to that nearest tenth or whatever it is, the nearest whole number. D2L though, we've seen grades where it'll say like a 92.6, which would imply you rounding up to a 93, but it'll still show a B. So a 93% in our class is an A. But then I've seen a 92.8 say A. So I'm not really sure what the threshold is there. So I did a couple of calculations for this last class. If I were to get a 42 on my last exam out of 50, I would have a 92.8. So far, everything I've seen that has a 0.8 or higher seems to be rounding up. Just in case, if I get a 43 out of 50, I get a 93.2, which guarantees the A. So that's my lowest goal, is a 43. I don't really want to chance it. We were told more than once that the second semester is the absolute hardest semester because it's the first time that you're adding an extra class. So instead of 3 classes, you have 4 classes. You're adding your clinical rotation in, and with the lab. So you kind of have a lot of extra stuff on your plate, plus the content of the classes, is a little bit more in depth. I mean, like I said, mechanical ventilation, you have pharmacology, which of course is kind of the bane of everyone's existence in terms of like just trying to remember so many drugs and what they do and when they're called for. Even the drugs we don't handle, you better know what albuterol does and when it's called for, or Atrovent, or Mucomist, or any of the stuff that we kind of it's our thing, if you will. We may not as often give some of these drugs. You still need to know them. You need to know interactions, things. If your patient's on some sort of heart drug that's doing something to help control rhythms or rates, and then know how, like albuterol, for instance, we all know that can increase in heart rate. Stuff like that. The patient's pathophysiology, what's going on with them, and of course how your drugs can interact with them, how it's going to interact with other drugs. So it's a lot. So if I can manage to pull off all A's, that would be huge for me moving forward. From what I can tell, the possibility is that in the second year of school, we could actually be doing school-related things as many as 5 days a week. So right now it's been pretty easy, basically 2.5 days a week, 3 days a week, or whatever, to go to like 2 8-hour rotations, 2 days a week. That can be, I think morning or evening. I don't know if they even go overnight. I think the latest ones run to maybe like 10 p.m. To juggle that with classes that are 2 different days a week, and then if you have a lab on that other day, so now you're in school all 5 days, on top of juggling job if you're working, you got kids and family and stuff. So So all A's with what I have going on right now is awesome. I hope to carry it on in the next semester and you know, really look at the potential to finish the program with all A's. That would be huge for me. Again, I don't really set that as a standard for myself though. I do what I have to do to get the grades that I get. You know, I don't kill myself over getting a B on an exam. You know, it's just, it is what it is. You typically get in what you put out. That being said, sometimes you study your butt off and you still pull a B. You know, that's why I stress taking breaks. If you go back and watch that big long video I had about test taking or strategies and study strategies, you know, it's be easy on yourself. There's no reason to like study for hours on end and killing yourself and losing sleep. I mean, I usually quit studying by 10 o'clock because I'm tired. You know, I want to go to bed. Especially, you know, if you're really trying to get some of that last minute studying before the day before an exam, you don't want to like wake up tired or waking up early after staying up late to try to get some more studying in. It's like, why? It just puts you in a weird mindset. You know, you're not rested. Energy drinks and caffeine only go so far to wake you up. So, you know, take care of yourself. Manage your time. You know, study ahead. I always keep telling myself I want to study the notes, maybe like as I get them. That way I'm building up that knowledge, and then I don't have to maybe study as much the night before. But I've never really done it. And, you know, it's just, that's my schedule. That's just how my life is. You know, with the kids and work and stuff, I do things the way that works best for me. It may not work the best for you. You know, you should know yourself better than anyone else. So just do what you have to do. But, you know, if you're really getting down on yourself for not getting the grades you want, you know, change something else. Or, you know, at the end of the day, is a B really that bad? You know, there's a lot of people would probably be happy for a B in pharmacology. So don't get down on yourself when you don't do as well as you thought. You know, work a little harder maybe on your studying next time, or find a different strategy that works for you. You know, if you're doing the same thing consistently and you're not getting better results, you're getting the same results, you know, why would you keep doing the same thing if your end goal is to do better? Take it easy on yourself, guys. Like, study hard, but don't kill yourselves over these finals that we got coming up. You know, enjoy it. If you're like me, you're coming out at the end of the first year. It's been kind of crazy. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I will do a recap after I finish the finals. I'll have some time in that week between, or I'll shoot a recap video of my first year. So anyways, guys, I'm going to call this now. Thanks for watching. Everyone, good luck on finals, and I'll see you guys soon. Take it easy.